So this is our completed project. It's basically an anchor made out of bottle caps, and then we have our stencil with "You Are My" and then anchor. Before we start, you don't have to do it exactly like this. If you want to do 2 smaller anchors and not even have the stencil, you can. As usual, it's up to you how you want to kind of spin it. But before we get started, hopefully everybody has everything that was in the kit. And then you'll also need a hot glue gun. And then pliers are optional. The only reason you might need the pliers is if you want to do this look at the end of the anchor. These basically I just use pliers to squeeze them, but you don't have to do that at the end. It's just something that I decided to do. It looks fine without it. So if you don't have pliers or you can't make it work, that's fine. So hopefully you have your board that was stained, the bottle caps, your stencil, paint, brush, hot glue gun, pliers, and yeah, so we can go ahead and get started. So this is the final product. And then, so we're going to start with our board. Okay. So I have my blank board, kind of clean it off. It's a little dirty. So we have our board. And then what we're going to do before we do anything else is basically make our anchor shape. So we're going to start with like this circle here at the top. So just kind of put 2, 4, 5 of your bottle caps in a circle. And then I put it, I don't know, like 6 inches down. So that's like my start of the circle. And I just kind of, just kind of looked at it and saw how close to the middle I could get it. And then, so I tried to center it as much as possible. If you are giving this to somebody who uses a lot of bottle caps, I mean, you might. Somebody had a really good suggestion of placing like a bottle cap opener, like onto the board itself. I don't have one to show you as like a sample, but you can get them online for about $5. So if you are going to give this to somebody who likes to drink and they always need a bottle opener, I think that would look really cool if you wanted to put it somewhere on there too. So if you're going to do that, just kind of keep in mind when you are placing all your bottle caps where you want them to be placed. So like I said, it's about, like not quite, maybe to my, the start of my palm is where the start of the circle is. So that's what we're going to do with our bottle caps. And then all the bottle caps are just kind of randomly in there. I like to try to make sure that I don't have a bunch of the same ones all together, just to give it kind of a, I just like it to not look so uniform, especially because, it's more fun. But you can put the bottle caps however you want. If you want all of the, like all of these ones that are the flag all together, it's up to you. So now, okay, so like I said, I tried to basically put it, in the middle. And we're not gluing these down right now. Right now, we're just kind of putting them on the board to see how it looks. Because if we start gluing it down and you realize you need to shift it a little bit, it's not going to work out well. So right now, we're just kind of seeing how well it works. So yeah, it's about in the middle. So that's good enough for me. Like I said, if you want a ruler, you can always do that to make sure it's exactly even, but I usually just eyeball it. So now we have our little circle of bottle caps. So I'm just going to add one just right here. So now I have one more. Okay. So then now we're going to have this horizontal line of bottle caps right here. 2, 4, and it's going to be 5 bottle caps. So I'm just going to kind of and then for this layer as well, we're going to make kind of, we're going to also I call it pyramid because basically in between your 2, you're going to place another bottle cap. I usually do it at restaurants with creamers, so that's why I usually call it pyramid. I'm not really sure what you'd want to call it, but I call it making a little pyramid. So that's what I'm going to do. Just 1 layer. I don't need that one. Use this one. Again, I don't like the colors to all, like I don't like to use the same color. So like this one, it's a slightly different bottle cap than the one underneath it, but they're both really white. So I'm choosing a different bottle cap. Again, that's just my own personal preference. If you like to do that, then I mean, it's totally up to you. It's however you want to do it. So now that we have our 5 on the bottom and then 4 as our pyramid on top, then we're going to make a line down. Let me push it up a little bit. So we're just going to do it like this. And we're going to do 4 of them. So 1, 2, 3, and then 1 more. 4. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And then for this one, we're going to pyramid as well right here. So again, we're putting 4 that way and then a little pyramid up at the top. And then once you're done with this part, then we're going to make the anchor kind of like a smile. Okay, so now we're going to, again, put another layer over the top in pyramid style. So now we have our 8 down here, and then we have our layer on top like that. And then we're going to do the little bottom section. You can see maybe a little bit. See, we have just 1, 2, and then 1 on top. So that's like the very bottom of our anchor. So I'm just going to put 2 there, and then the 3rd. So now I have my anchor. You can see, so there's my anchor. Again, if you want to make like 2 smaller anchors, there should be enough bottle caps left over. If you want to make basically a smaller version and put 2 of them there, it's up to you. But there should be just enough to get you 2 small anchors if you decide you want to do 2 small anchors instead of the 1 big one. So now mine, if you can see, it's pretty low to the bottom, a little lower than my sample. I don't know if you can really see. Let's see if we can put this down. So my sample has a little bit more room at the bottom. But right now, before we're gluing anything down, we're still not gluing down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my stencil on the top. And what I did is I didn't want it to be super straight. If you notice my other one, let's bring it back. My other one, it's kind of curved. So I basically cut my stencil so that I could curve it around. If you want to just leave it like this and paint, that's up to you. But I like a little bit of the curve to it. So I'm going to curve mine. So basically we're just going to cut the stencil, just making sure you're not cutting any of the letters. And then we're just going to place them back on the board. And again, we're trying to, make sure that it looks good. How I decided to put my words on there with my anchor is I just tried to make sure that like where the R is from the top of the board, because the R is kind of the highest part of the R in the word R, is kind of like the toppermost part of the curve. So I just kind of wanted to make sure that it's the same distance from the top of the board to the R as it was from the bottom of my anchor to the bottom of the board. Now, this might change, like I said, if you decide that you want to put like a bottle opener on here as well. Like I said, you can get them online. So if you just do decide to put a bottle cap opener on it, then you might want to move around your anchor to kind of fit that to accommodate that. So it's kind of up to you. Just I would make that decision now before we start painting and gluing down, if you are going to put one of those down. If you're not, then I mean, you don't need to worry about it. It's just if you do want to add like the bottle cap opener. Again, totally up to you. So now at the bottom, I have, let's see, I have about this much from the bottom. So like right there. So I'm just going to go to the top and see. I mean, it's not quite even, so we'll just kind of push this down a little. There we go. So you're just kind of looking and seeing if you like the placement of the letters. I also look from the sides too. It looks like this one's not quite, but it looks like it'll be good. So once you have it placed how you want it, like again, I made mine curved, you don't have to, but once you have it placed down, hopefully everybody has tape. I didn't think about giving anybody tape, but you want to keep your stencils down and not move, because they're very temperamental and you don't want it to bleed. So you're basically going to tape down your stencil so that it doesn't move when you are painting it. But just make sure you don't cover any of the letters, because then your paint won't go down. And then I just try to put enough on there so that it does not move. I do not want them to move. Make sure they're flat. For this one, it had a little bit of bleeding. You might notice a little bit of bleeding. Basically, the only thing I could think of to not let it bleed would be if you had some sort of adhesive spray that you could really like lay this down with adhesive spray. I think that would help with a lot of the bleeding. But what we're going to do is we're going to take our paintbrush and our paint, and we're going to paint this. And we're going to do that before we glue anything else down, just because I like to have that done and then we could take them off. So now we're going to get our paint and our little paintbrush. And actually, if you have some paper towels, that would be really good, because when we use our paintbrush with the foam brush and then do the stenciling, you don't want a lot of paint on there, because it bleeds more the more paint you have on there. So we are just going to go ahead and grab a paper towel. Let's see if I can find one. And then we're going to dab it into the paint and then dab a lot of the paint off. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to take a little bit of my paint onto my brush. And then before we actually start the stenciling, I'm just going to dab off a lot of the glue, or the paint, sorry. So now we have a lot of the paint on the paper towel. And then when you start to paint your stencil, I just kind of hold it down even more, just because in the middle, if you kind of notice, it's not quite flat. So just to help with the bleeding, I'm going to hold it down, and then we're not going to do strokes. You're going to like do like a stamping motion. So just like a quick stamp, like that. So you can't really, I'm making really quick jabbing motions at the stencil. You can't really see it from the camera. And we're just kind of doing it over and over and over again. Again, don't do the stroking. Don't do like this. You don't want to do that. You want to do stamping motions because that will get it on and kind of avoid bleed. And then also, because I almost made this mistake before, just keep note of where your stencil ends and your board begins. You don't want to accidentally paint the board thinking that you're still painting your stencil, because I've made that mistake. So just kind of be careful when you're stamping. Like I'm getting kind of close to the edge here, so I'm just going to kind of be really careful. Hopefully you're ready. And what we're going to do is we're going to slowly peel off the stencil. Just be very careful that you don't smudge it, just because we don't want to. So you're just going to be very careful. Lift it up really gently. You can see it's, I bled a little in places. It's a little blurry, but it looks okay. So you can always go back with, like, if you have a smaller paintbrush and kind of like, notice I have a little bit of gap. You can't really see it, but up close there's like a few places where I would want to like fill in, but for the most part it looks okay. So we're gonna let that dry, so try to like not scrape it right now just because it's still a little wet. But so now we're going to go on to actually gluing down our bottle caps. So let me plug in my hot glue gun. I'm going to wait for it to get warm. And again, this would be the time to change anything around that you need to or that you want to before we get started, because once you start gluing down, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Oh, you know what? I just remembered. I didn't show you how to do the side ones. Like these two, this one and this one. It's only if you want to. How I did it was I took pliers. So the easiest way I did it was I basically put it facing in like that, and then I just squeezed. Doesn't always work. There we go. Just like that. And then I'm going to put it like that, and then I'll do another one. So there we go, just like that. And then place it like that. And again, these are only if you want to do it like that, or if you have pliers. They don't necessarily need them. I think it looks okay without them, but since I've made them, I might as well put them down. I went from the bottom up, I believe, the last time, and that worked out pretty well. So basically we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. And so we obviously can't glue these bottom ones down with this top one, so I'm going to take it off real quick. And the best way I've found for getting the glue to stick well to the board and then to the bottle cap is I pick it up and then I'm going to make like basically a plus sign or a cross. And then that way, when it dries, there's less mess to clean up. So, and then I just kind of make sure that I don't hurt myself. So I make sure it's on there. And then you will need to clean up the little glue remnants afterwards. But I found like doing the little cross makes it less messy at the end. So this one, we're going to do the same thing. Like that. We're just making it so that we know the edges are touching at least 4 different points, because if you just put a dab of glue like in the middle of this and then set it down thinking it'll keep, it doesn't. Just because you would have to put a lot of glue to make it like reach. Because what I've noticed is I'd put a dab of glue thinking that it would bridge this empty space to the board, and it didn't do that. So and then so now I'm going to put this one on top of these 2 that I have placed on my board. So I'm going to put it right here. And then instead of a cross, I'm basically just going to put 2 lines. Right in the middle. And then I just set it down, just making sure that the glue is touching both sides. And then so now we're going to do the smile face or the anchory part. And then I'm just going to put these to the side. I'll do them last. And then I'm going to take off the top. And then I'll start either side, whichever works out best for you. But so I'm going to make a little cross again, making sure that I'm getting all of it in there. There we go. So stop there. And just gonna making sure that at least 4 points are touching the glue. So that way it's less likely for it to come off. And then for these 2, basically what I did was I kind of put glue just like on the edges, just because I was able to do it without kind of hurting my fingers. And then I just set it down like that. But if you don't feel comfortable doing that because it's hot glue near your fingers, I just kind of put like a strip right here. And then you just kind of set it on that strip, making sure both sides are kind of touching it so that we make sure that it stays down. So that's how I did those 2. Okay. And then we're going to go on to our next phase, which is middle part. Again, making sure we like how it looks, and then just individually going up. Okay, now we're going to do this line. So again, taking off the top layer because we can't glue the bottom layer with the top layer in our way. Okay, so I'm done with mine, although you probably noticed a lot of the string, so I'm just going to clean that up. So just to give everybody enough time to finish. So I'm just going to clean up mine. Just to be careful not to try to move anything. If I notice something moving, like it seems like the glue didn't quite work out the way I wanted to, basically you just kind of try to lift it up and put like a little bit of glue underneath it just to see if you can make it stick a little bit better.